9 months ago, Charlie Kirk was murdered and the world changed forever, and not for the better. We are left today still picking up the pieces. The true value of a man's life only can be seen when he's gone. Everything that Charlie was holding together, he truly was a generational leader that is irreplaceable, a future president. And that's what makes this the darkest day in modern American history, because the left learned that for the price of a few bullets inscribed with Antifa messaging and left-wing gamer brain rot messaging, you could put a troon on a rooftop and take out a generational talent that is a true threat to your power and the minds of young people. And that's a cost-benefit ratio that works for the left, because they are an inherently violent and godless movement. The best that we can ask for now is that the judge do the right thing and find Tyler Robinson guilty, and then afford him the death penalty by firing squad, which is legal in Utah. I think that would be appropriate. Tyler Robinson still alive, while Charlie Kirk's children will be orphaned forever. Erica Kirk will be widowed forever. The left doesn't care about death. They revel in it. You can see here, this is a pride parade in Providence, Rhode Island, one of the most left-wing states, a city run by a left-wing gay mayor. And the pride parade is going after the mayor with a steamroller. This is in a guillotine, a rainbow guillotine. This is what they plan on doing to the mayor. This is from last night. This is what they're going to do to their left-wing gay mayor, Brett Smiley. So your party doesn't matter. If you are seen as withholding power from the left in any way, or as any type of roadblock to their Marxist utopia, they'll kill you. And they'll celebrate it in the streets. It doesn't matter if you have a D or an R behind your name. This is why I often say, this is not red versus blue. It is not left versus right. And this is darkness versus light. This is good versus evil. We have to win. And evil is what was sent to all of my comment sections and botted on every social media post that I put up in the aftermath of Charlie's murder. You're next. This is what I constantly heard. And we were sent Reddit posts of people posting our address, the address of guys like Matt Walsh. And we had crazy people start showing up at our home. Crazy letters got mailed to my home where my wife and children live. And they doxed us. And it became untenable. And I've never seen such evil, demonic forces that saw Charlie Kirk's murder as an opportunity to then go after his friends, people that they saw as next in line. Of course, we would never claim to even, no one can replace Charlie. But we did work really closely with him, and we did learn a lot from him and build a lot with him. And so the threats against my family, you would assume with a moral movement that they would decline, or people would back off and say, this is horrible. You've just widowed this wife and orphaned these children. But instead they accelerated exponentially after Charlie's death. Here's a letter that my wife sent me. She was hysterical when she sent it to me. It was mailed to our home. It talks about how I should be strangled and die, and that my head should be blown off right here. And they'd love to see my head explode and your blood stain the concrete red. This is the letter that was mailed to my family. This photo was taken by the FBI because we had so many strangers showing up on our doorstep. At some point, you just have to take these things seriously. We just watched the live stream and what happened to Charlie. So we called the FBI. We called the local police first, and we called the FBI. And a man had a positive DNA match with this letter. They were able to hunt this man down, and he lives in San Diego. The FBI went and picked him up. They brought him to Florida. And something new, breaking news that made quite a bit of news yesterday is that the man pled guilty and is now going to be awaiting sentencing. His name's George Russell Isabel Jr. He's a porn shop owner, 3 porn shops, in fact, in San Diego. And he sent a letter to us saying, he wants my head to explode and blood stain and everything. He wants to kill me in front of my children. And the prosecutor said Isabel sent a letter to a U.S. senator with grandchildren's names crossed out, dead written next to them. So not a good person. And, well, now he's pled guilty after saying that we need to be exterminated and strangled and get my head blown off. He faces 5 years in federal prison. He'll be sentenced in August, and I'll be there. Here's the DOJ filing here. San Diego man pleads guilty to threatening letter. And we just want to say thank you to the FBI, the DOJ, who prosecuted this, I would argue, successfully, because this shouldn't happen to anybody. I mean, I hate being the news. And I guess the reason why I want to just bare my soul here is because it gets real when your wife is at home and is living in fear and your children are living in fear. That's terrorism. When my wife doesn't want to take the kids out on a walk, in the stroller, you're robbing a childhood from my children. Is this worth it, porn shop owner guy? This is in what you don't like what I say, just unsubscribe. You don't like what I say, you don't have to follow. But I speak for 80 million or more Americans. I think something more like 200 million Americans, but whatever. This is what you're going to do? You're going to commit an act of terrorism? That's the definition of evil. That's why I'm glad. Thank God my family is safe. But we've had to take excruciating precautions because of how ratcheted up and how hot everything had gotten. It was really incredibly scary and the worst thing that we've ever gone through as a family. And so, again, this is what we're fighting. I'd love to see your head explode. Tampa political commentator. Okay. Well, yes, that is where I live. He entered the plea deal, federal court on Wednesday. He could do 5 years in prison. And I hope that he does. I can't really get into the horrors that this has visited upon my family and how much damage this has done. But what's happened to me is nothing compared to what's happened to some who have actually died via left-wing political violence, psychotic, demonic, suicidal left-wing political violence, and have taken people from us. It's why we must win. It's why I don't play around with this whole I'm a doomer, I'm a black pillar, I Trump pissed me off one time, so I'm not gonna, I'm gonna betray him, I'm gonna spend my entire life having my brain broken, lighting myself on fire. I don't play with that. Because the reality is that these are very dangerous times, and this movement, this radicalized left-wing Marxism, it only goes one way in every country that the Marxists take over. Mass graves for everyone that stands against them or their friends. Kind of just depends on what they're feeling. You can check in on the Marxist revolutions all throughout Pan-Asia, the Soviet Union, the Eastern Bloc countries. The Marxist revolutions, they only go one way. South America and Cuba. And this is what awaits all of us if we don't put an end to it now. I spoke about it at the sentencing or at the announcement of the arrest of George Isabel Jr. And, well, it's just a warning. I don't want this to happen to your family. It's happening to my family now. We all watched it happen to Charlie Kirk, Erica, and their family. And this is a warning that it's going to happen to your family when they get enough power. Don't think you're on the right side of this if you have if you vote for a Democrat. You're not. This movement needs to be put down. There's a movement of death. It's a death cult. That's what I called out in my comments during the press conference. So one last time for good measure, here they are. And thank you to the FBI and DOJ for doing the right thing here. 1 month ago today, I witnessed my friend of 10 years, someone who I considered a brother, a loving husband, a devoted father, a generational leader, get assassinated on a live stream by a left-wing radical. Approximately 1 year ago, I witnessed the President of the United States get shot in the head by a left-wing radical who also took the life of a Trump supporter in front of his daughters and wife. 2 months ago, Christian children kneeling and praying in a church were slaughtered by a left-wing extremist. And 2 weeks ago, federal law enforcement was shot at multiple sniper rounds in a federal facility by a left-wing extremist. If it's happening every single week, is it that extreme? Or has the Democrat Party mainstreamed violence as a political tool? The individual who wrote me described why he wanted me dead. I was a white, cis, Christian Trump supporter. They described in great detail how I would be killed in an open field, just like Charlie, how much blood would come out of my head and neck when it was blown off. This individual described orphaning my 4 beautiful children and widowing my wife with great joy. You might want to say, another left-wing radical, another extremist. And to that, I would like to direct your attention to the state of Virginia, where Democrats have nominated and are about to vote for the chief law enforcement officer in that state, a man who has done the exact same thing. An individual who's calling for the assassination by bullets of Republicans that he disagrees with. The killing of their children. The slaughtering of, as he says, little fascists. Are my 4 innocent, beautiful children little fascists? Violence has been mainstreamed by the Democrat Party. It is not extremist, it is mainstream. And we need a moment of reckoning here. This has to stop. This cycle must end. Is any Democrat courageous enough to disavow violence? To call for individuals that espouse these things, like what happened to my family, or what's happening in Virginia, to call for those kind of candidates to step down? Will Democrats vote for that? Because if you're voting for that, then implicitly you're encouraging it. You're endorsing it. I don't want political violence. I want peace in my nation. I love this country. I want to be able to debate like Charlie did. I want to be able to raise my family in peace. That is our birthright. But you cannot make peace with evil as a Christian. You cannot unite with people who want you dead. I want unity in this nation. I want to be able to agree on more than what we disagree on. But for that first to happen, we must understand the battle. We are fighting good versus evil, darkness versus light. And good must conquer evil. Do not make peace with evil. To that end, and in conclusion, I would like to thank federal law enforcement, Pam Bondi, Kash Patel, Dan Bongino, the FBI, the DOJ, the Tampa Police Department, the detectives here, with absolute pinpoint accuracy, professionalism, courtesy, swift and tact. They were able to act instantly in order to make sure that my family was safe. Potentially to preserve the lives of my children. And they're doing that for families all around the country in many different ways. Every American should unite behind that cause. No matter who you are, you should say, this is a country where families should be able to raise their children safely, where people can have peaceful disagreements, where we can all live together under one American flag. I just want to profoundly thank the Trump administration and federal law enforcement and local law enforcement for saving my family. I will never forget it. It is the greatest goodness that has ever been done to me. And that is a thing that every American can get behind. The Trump administration making America safe again. God bless them.